to Mix Country 106. Hope you guys are having a fantastic morning here. We are back with a regular, absolute legend on the Mix Country 106 station. He's a good friend of the station as well. I'd like to welcome Mr. Chuck Wimer for what, the 8th, 10th time? No, it hasn't been that many, but you've been here a
No.
lot. How you doing,
Yeah.
Chuck?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It's good to talk to you again. It's good to see Raven there.
Yeah. For
Never get
those
to see
watching on
Raven.
YouTube land, this is all being video recorded as well. So Raven's in the back. She's going to keep me straight. She wanted to say hi and check out how we do things here. And I always love having Raven because if I say something stupid, she can just swat me in the back of the head. So it's all good.
Lucky you.
It's what
I get it. I
wives
get
and
it
good
later.
producers are for. Yes, we both get it. I mean, come on. I mean, you have a great wife. Jamie's great. Raven's great. And they are the backbone of what we do. And I don't think either one of us could do what we do without them,
Oh,
honestly.
definitely not. I tell Jamie all the time. I said, if you weren't here, this doesn't happen.
Exactly. If she's not here, none of this happens either. So that's all good. But let's get into it. So, Chuck, it has been forever and a day. I feel like since we've had you on, but you were on quite a bit for a while, and then we kind of what happened between like almost like late last summer, I think was the last time we got to chat with you, and now what's been going on in your life?
Man, we've been burning the candles at both ends. It's been a lot. We put out the new record that we recorded out in Nashville. We got our first duet on there. We got another outside cut from Mikey Goode. He did a great job on a song that we absolutely fell in love with. And then of course we've been playing shows, man. We're booked all the way through the rest of this year, and we have no open dates. I think maybe two.
Wow. How many dates are you doing?
Every weekend we're doing at least 2 to 3 shows. So day job
The
still gets in
rest
the
of
way,
this
but
year?
yeah,
Whoa. My goodness.
I think the
You're gonna
exception
try-
is we have. I think there's like one weekend where we left intentionally open so that we could have just a little bit of downtime.
And you guys have to keep in mind, I mean, Chuck, while a fantastic musician, he still has a day job and he's doing this. This is
Yeah,
insane.
yeah,
Uh, the dedication it takes in this industry to get to do what these artists love to do is insane. And especially when you've got a family, you've got everything else going on, man, and it's it's a lot. And so for you, like trying to balance that schedule, what has it been like for you, at least this past couple months, trying to balance, you know, keeping a mundane, boring day job and trying to pursue this career? What's the daily schedule been like for you?
yeah.
Balance all that
So
out.
I go into the day job 12:30 until 10:30 a.m. So a.m. on both ends of that, and then get home, try to sleep, and then that's 4 days a week. And then Thursday nights, sometimes we'll have a show, sometimes we won't. If we do, then sleep is just saved for the next day. The writing has taken a little bit of a hit. We haven't been able to do as much writing, but we've been doing the recording and the playing and getting everything in a way that it flows smoothly. I guess that we'll say
Hmm.
that.
But you still managed to put out some new music. And in particular, we're talking today about you and Whiskey. And how did the duet come up there? Tell me about that story.
Well, like I said, we had taken an outside cut from Mikey Goode again, but he and I, we've written a number of songs together. You may remember "Don't Ask Me to Dance."
Hmm.
There's a few others that didn't get cut. No, I think there's one other that did, but he and I were writing a song intentionally for a duet. So we had a couple of artists in mind, and we wrote the song. And then when we reached out to Brandy, she loved it, and we ended up bringing her down. We didn't record the same day, but we brought her down, and I got to watch her do the the world's most impossible task of harmonizing with me in studio. And she was feeling a little bit I don't know, disappointment or just not feeling like she was able to do it for a little bit there. And it was like, I understand, Brandy. It's hard. So do your
Brandy Bellum,
best.
right?
Brandy
Yeah.
Balin. Yeah, Brandy Balin.
Balin.
She's awesome.
Knew I was going to screw her last name up. I was afraid to say it.
That's okay.
Brandy Balin. And yeah, that's a name new to me. I've never heard of her before. Has she worked with you before or anything?
So we've done some
See, I
stuff.
told you she'd hit me.
No, we had the same promoter originally. We were being promoted by Mark Sebi when I first came on the scene, and she and Mark had toured a little bit together, and that's how I got to meet her. That's actually where I came up with. We do a medley where we mash up a bunch of songs, and then we basically use that to draw people over to the merch stand because they can get some
Hmm.
free merch, whoever gets the most right. And I got that idea from her. So we've always had a pretty good relationship. And then her and Mikey and I, we've kind of been um, pretty solid all the way through this whole time. And then when the opportunity came up for her to be able to do the record with us, we were like, hey, it ain't going to cost you nothing. She's like, no, I want to help. How do I help? It's like, absolutely, let's do it. So, but she absolutely killed it in the studio. Um, she was throwing out some stuff that I didn't even think of, and of course, it made it on the record because she's that good.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hi, man. Gosh. And you haven't done, I'm trying to think of any duets that you've done recently. I
That's the
wouldn't
only
call
one.
1985 a duet. That was yeah, I don't know what I would call that one, but
That'd be a feature.
that was a feature.
Yeah,
Okay. But this would definitely be considered a duet because she is
yeah.
very much a integral part. She leads the whole second verse there and you guys
Mhm.
harmonize. What was it like for you doing a talking song? Like you guys think about, remember the Alan Jackson song called The Mechanic Song?
I believe so.
It's
Yeah.
basically talking and a story talking about going to the mechanic and the mechanic's trying to take advantage of him, but then the mechanic says, hey, I'm a songwriter, et cetera, et cetera. You guys can go check it out. But it's basically where you, instead of singing, you're kind of talking in sort of a rhythm,
Hmm.
and it's really popular in country music, but unfortunately in recent years I haven't seen hardly anyone do it. It used to be really, really popular, especially old classic country. George Jones did it a couple times. Gosh, I'm trying to think of some other good examples. But what made you want to kind of write or do a song that was more of a talking story, if you will?
Well, we like to do a little bit of every style we can that we've liked throughout the years, right? So, like Fire in Your Eyes was completely different than everything else we've done. We've started, putting in swings and some two-step in songs, but a lot of the stuff that I had done was not really traditional for today's standard. We've done, the ballads. We've done the upbeat, just kind of train drive beat kind of thing. But I wanted to
Hmm.
bring back the conversational song. I listened to them when I was younger, and I always thought that those were kind of fun. And then I decided, you know what, we need one of those because nobody else is doing it.
Yeah, I think I mean, that's pretty good. And that's definitely a honky tonk song. Like, there's no getting around that. This
Yeah.
is absolutely, I got to ask one thing with the lyrics. Okay. I know you and I are upstanding guys. We don't use words that don't need to be said. You and I both aren't big cussers, right? We don't use foul language. But the entire song, it drove me a little nuts that you wouldn't say the word, and we can say this on FM radio. This is a totally illegal word to say, but you don't say the word ass ever. And I'm like, why not? It's not that bad. And you're like, and you just drop the word. I'm like, why? It drove me
So
crazy a little bit.
I'm also a very traditional guy. So when I think about it, I go out these days and I hear people just throwing around foul language everywhere.
Mhm.
They're using it like it's an adjective that, granted, the adjective that they're using more often than not does fit every scenario, but they should be able to prove that they know other adjectives. And I decided, you know what, we're just going to make it clean. We're a family friendly act. Even when I
Yeah.
cover other songs that have similar words that aren't over the top, they're not going to cause people to walk out. But I still change it because if there's a 5-year-old running around, they don't need to be asking mom and dad at the end of the show, hey, what does that mean? But
Oh,
there's
I just
also there's also a scientific method behind that too. There's the tension and relief, right? So that builds tension. Everybody
mm,
wants, oh, where's the word? Oh, it's not there. And then immediately
yeah,
we're going into the next thing, or some fun guitar riff or something like that. So,
absolutely. But let me ask you, so what's the response been on this song? Is it funner to kind of just see people's reactions? Is it a fun song to play live?
well, it's a really fun song live. The only problem is we don't have a female in the band, so basically I have to do
Oh.
both parts. But I think
Um,
Brandy's been playing it at her shows too, if I'm not
oh,
mistaken, or at least she's getting ready to. So, but I know at our shows, people love it. They think it's just hilarious. I'll see somebody out in the crowd and we start going through that first verse and they're like, okay, cool, whatever. And then they hear the part where we don't use the full word, and then they kind of perk up like, what? So they're trying to see what's going on with that too.
absolutely. And it's a good song. And I know you're more family friendly act, which is great. Absolutely. And what I also admire, like you said, Chuck, is you don't have any. You said earlier you don't have any dates available this year. You're doing 2 or 3 shows a weekend, right?
Yeah, yeah, we're staying as busy as we can.
Oh, are you trying to set a record?
I don't know.
Is that what this is?
I don't know about a record, but I will say that for us, I'm pretty excited because most of the shows that we have are band shows. So
Mm.
it's always fun to be able to have the band out there. And the solo stuff is where I make a little bit more money, but it's having the band be able to get out there and show themselves because it's just a completely different show.
Yeah, if you were asking me, man, it's way funner to play with the band. It's you get the energy from them. It's not just you and a guitar and trying to build the energy all on your own. You get the full band there. I think it's great. I personally like to see full band shows. It's a preference. It's a whole energy vibe there.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but that's not your only performing gig. You recently covered as a DJ for a local bar. Please tell me about this.
Okay, so it was a little rough, okay, and this isn't anything on the venue, but they have the program where you can have one song playing and the next one's queued up, and then basically it
Hmm.
transitions seamlessly. And they you got to play everything off the hard drive unless you have an account with the various organizations, and they don't. So they just have a couple of hard drives, and whoever built these hard drives, they were not building it for the style of music that I want to share with the world, right? So that was a little frustrating for probably the first couple of hours. I was there for 5 hours, and then afterwards, the owner came back in, and I was like, "Hey, do you have a way for me to sync up to this thing, Bluetooth or something, so that I can just do it off my Spotify?" And as soon as I did that, then we were able to turn it into a red dirt night.
What were some of the songs that you wish you didn't need to play,
Well,
if you can?
I'll put it like this: the only Garth Brooks "Friends in Low Places" they had, which of course is a crowd pleaser, everybody wants to hear it whenever they're
Yes.
out, right? They
Hmm.
only had the TV interview from 1996. That was the only version of it they had, right? They
Boy.
didn't have but one David Allan Coe. They had, I think it was like two Merle Haggard songs, and one of them wasn't even a popular song. It was like some B-side Merle Haggard. Um,
Wow.
it was just the what was available was so small. They didn't have any Tracy Byrd, no Tracy Lawrence. Um, I think they had one Tim McGraw, no Ella Langley. Like there was nothing that was currently popular.
That must have been pretty hard for you as a fill-in DJ because it's not even your set necessarily that you're trying to put together. Now,
Yeah.
what happened when you got to connect your Spotify? What were you playing then?
So then we put in Randy Rogers, Scotty Alexander, Ben McPeak, Matt Castillo. I put in one or two of mine, which was I'm kind of proud of myself for only doing one or two for the entire 5 hours.
Self promotion there.
Yeah, I didn't even take advantage. But some Wade Bowen. We put in a lot. Turnpike Troubadours put in a few of their songs. It ended up being a lot more fun when we were able to play stuff that we liked.
Obviously, we're playing all the good stuff. And let me ask you this, because see, I saw you post about this on Facebook, and I had to jump on. I was like, well, if he's going to DJ there, what if he DJ for us? And so I reached out and I was like, hey, you ever want to DJ for Mixed Country 106? And your response was, no, I think it was something like, I know where my lane is and I'll stay in it, that kind of thing.
I know my
And
place.
I know my place. And I was like, well, if you ever change your mind, you know. And I promise you, Chuck, unlike those old hard drives, I promise you I have all the good stuff. I have about 4,000 tracks in regular rotation and almost every Chuck Wimer song that you've ever wrote, I think, in my library. So let me ask you officially on radio here for all of our fans here, would you ever consider doing a guest DJ spot for us? Just a one-time little thing, just to
But let me
see how it
answer that.
feels.
But first, I'm going to quantify. I thought you were joking, but yes, I'd be happy to.
I never joke.
Yeah, no, I'd definitely be willing to do it. It's I'm not good at it though. I'll tell you that I'm not good at it.
You know what? I've been in radio so long. I'm happy when new guys just show up and they say they're going to do a shift. I'm happy when they just show up. No, I'm kidding. You're great, though. I would love to see exactly what Chuck Weimer's music is. And so if you ever want to, we might talk after the interview here, but I would love to get you doing a whole, maybe an hour like worth of music and some content. I would love that. But
Oh, that'd be easy. That's only 13 songs.
yeah, I mean, you got to pick out the good ones, though. I mean, your whole reputation is going to be riding on those 13 songs, Chuck. It's a
Oh
big
yeah,
deal.
you get to meet all my
But
friends.
you know what though? Do you remember real quick before we wrap up? Do you remember a long time ago, like it's probably been a couple years ago now? you did a live thing on Facebook, and we actually streamed your live Facebook concert on our station. Do you remember doing that?
I do.
Raven? See? I might have a monkey brain, Raven, but I still remember some things.
Yeah, we were doing
That was cool.
We were doing a few of those back then. I know Jenny Del Lord had done it for a station that she was actually doing it probably weekly. I think it was tunes on Tuesday tunes or something like that. And then I was like, well, shoot, I can do that. That's no problem. But then I end up talking too much to the camera. So
Oh, you were great. I'm sure that video is deep buried somewhere in the Facebook archives and probably somewhere on YouTube. I'll have to go dig that thing out because it was a couple years ago. So when I tell you guys that Chuck is absolutely a friend of the channel, or the channel and the station here, I'm not kidding. We love Chuck. And but Chuck, I am going to let you go here, but you have one big concert that's coming out in November as part of the America 250 celebration. They invited you out. Can you tell me about that concert out in New Mexico?
yeah. So November 7th is going to be a Saturday. It's 2 to 5, but we'll be out there in Las Cruces headlining the America 250. And we were tickled when we got that invitation because, you know, there's some amazing bands out there that we would have thought we would have been opening for, but they asked us to headline it. So we're going to be out there. We're going to do that. We're going to take a little working vacation, and it's going to be fun. The guys are going to get to go out there and get another state under their belt. And it's, you know, that's, I don't know how all the other bands are going at this point, but for us, whenever we get to put another under our belt, then we got this little map that we'll scratch off. It's all covered up, and then you take the coin, you scratch it off like a lottery ticket to open up the states that you've played in. So we're excited to be able to take New Mexico off that one.
You need to get Iowa off that list.
We
Just
do.
saying.
Yeah, we need to do Iowa. We're actually all right. So this is the sneak peek. We're gonna try next year to do a southeast run as kind of a practice, right? So we're gonna go all the way through the states going to Florida. So Georgia, Alabama, Louisiana, we're going to try and hit each one of those along the way and then come back. And then if that works out well, then we're going to try and go up the East Coast and do the same thing. And then if we get that locked in, then we're going to try and just do an entire clock and come back. So we'd be going to the Midwest and then coming down. So it may take 3 years to get it done because we are doing this all independently, but we're going to see what we can do.
Chuck, you've been a friend of this station for probably 3 or more years, so I think we can be patient for that. So thanks, Chuck. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. Super, super appreciate it. You and Whiskey is out now. Go stream it. Go buy it. Go check out Chuck in concert. If you're anywhere in the Texas area, I think even Oklahoma and of course, New Mexico, go check him out, and you can find him on all of his social media channels. We're going to get playing that song right now called You and Whiskey right here on Mixed Country 106. Stick around, y'all.